We like to think we are rational creatures. If we want to persuade someone, we present them with facts. Over 2,000 years ago, Aristotle laid out the formula for this. He called it logos, the use of raw data, logic, and literal words to change minds. But relying on cold logic ignores a significant reality of human behavioral science. When Dr. Albert Mehrabian began studying how people actually express their feelings and attitudes, he uncovered a disconnect in how we believe we process information. This chart breaks down his findings, now known as the 7-38-55 rule. Only 7% of our message is actually conveyed through literal words. 38% is communicated through vocal tone, pitch, and pacing. Finally, the remaining 55% is communicated through body language, posture, and facial expressions. Combined, these nonverbal elements account for 93% of our communicative impact. While the literal words provide the specific information, the weight of the delivery shifts to nonverbal cues that are processed outside of our logical filters. Charismatic individuals leverage this imbalance. Rather than over-relying on the technical accuracy of their words, they focus on the behavioral signals that speak directly to our primitive instincts, the ones that bypass our typical logical defenses. Our minds are constantly absorbing an invisible stream of biological data we do not even know we are processing. To understand how charisma hacks that stream, we have to look at the architecture of the brain itself. In his analysis of human decision-making, behavioral economist Daniel Kahneman identifies two distinct processing centers in our minds. This diagram visualizes his two systems. System 2 is the slow, deliberate, and logical pathway we assume we use to make careful choices. System 1, however, is our fast, instinctive, and highly emotional center. System 1 is ancient. When our ancestors lived in tribal societies, evaluating a stranger wasn't an intellectual exercise. It required a split-second, life-or-death survival decision. To keep you alive, that primitive part of your brain asks two immediate questions when you meet someone new. First, capacity. Can this person physically hurt me? And second, intent. Do they actually want to? Plotted on a matrix, capacity is power, the ability to affect the physical world. Intent is warmth, the willingness to use power for another's benefit. Projecting both simultaneously sends a reassuring signal to System 1, labeling you a protector and shutting down logical skepticism. Effective transmission of these traits depends on specific social signals rather than explicit claims. Researchers at the MIT Media Lab tracked these interactions across intense business pitches and negotiations to find out what actually drives success. They discovered what scientists call honest signals. These are the micro-expressions, the subtle rhythmic pacing of a conversation, and the physical postures that accurately predict social success, regardless of the words spoken. One of the most effective honest signals is the chameleon effect. By subconsciously mimicking the posture, gestures, or speech patterns of the person in front of you, you build immediate neurological trust. There is also the pratfall effect. Psychology experiments show that if a highly competent person makes a minor, relatable mistake, like spilling coffee or tripping over a sentence, their perceived attractiveness and warmth actually spike. It humanizes their power. You can even leverage the Ben Franklin effect. Asking someone for a small, genuine favor forces their brain into a state of cognitive dissonance. Their subconscious immediately manufactures affection for you to justify why they are helping you in the first place. None of these are rational choices. They are psychological loopholes. They sneak through the mind's back doors to establish loyalty long before System 2 boots up to verify the facts. But deploying these signals fails without a final anchoring element. If you try to project power and warmth without absolute presence, the entire structure collapses into obvious manipulation. We operate in a landscape of fractured attention spans, constant notifications, and digital noise. Because of this, unbroken focus has become the rarest form of respect you can offer someone. When you offer that level of focus, you satisfy a core behavioral drive. As Dale Carnegie identified decades ago, the deepest human craving is simply the desire to be heard and recognized. You cannot fake this kind of attention. System 1 is adept at detecting fraud. True presence requires internal relaxation and total emotional self-regulation. That level of regulation traces back to the ancient Stoic frameworks of thinkers like Marcus Aurelius. It requires focusing strictly on what you can control and ignoring external chaos. When you possess this mental sovereignty, your calm projects outward. In an anxious, reactive world, the person who remains unshakable naturally becomes an anchor for everyone else around them. True charisma is the alignment of authentic presence with our evolutionary biology. When you master that balance, you stop chasing influence. Instead, you become an inescapable center of gravity.